since you found the skeleton, how would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tisdall Tuesday with the number 2. I am here, of course, with my co-host, the Goblin Queen herself, Chesh. Chesh, how you doing?
I'm the number 2.
That's true. Yeah, although you are actually above me, so like normally, you know, if you go top to bottom, you'd be actually number 1 right now.
Ah.
Yeah, pretty fancy, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
It looks good in here.
Yeah, I like this set. It didn't, you know, it took a little work, but I'm pretty happy with it. There's some problems that I might fix if I had to redo it, but
it needs a little bit of tweaking, but it's a good layout.
yeah, I'm also lazy.
Concepts of a plan.
Yeah, well, it's more than concepts of a plan because it does actually exist.
True.
Yeah, yeah. A concept of a plan would be like that cool sci-fi novel I'm actually never going to write.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a concept of a plan.
Oh my god.
So, before we get into it, Chesh, how you doing?
I'm okay. I've been a little bit sick recently, as most people might know, but I'm okay. I'll be fine eventually.
And
probably.
You're going to be going incommunicado here pretty soon, right?
Soon-ish. A couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be around for Friday, which is why we're not having a game, right?
I don't remember. Am I supposed to be doing something this Friday?
Well, normally it would be game time, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be gone by then.
I don't know. No, what? You think I'm going on vacation this week? No, that's the next month.
So I have no game scheduled for this week for no reason?
Well, I remember we talked about, like, when we were all in backstage, we talked about people not being available for last Friday and the following Friday, but it wasn't me that wasn't available.
Maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was just me misremembering. That's okay. All right.
I don't know. I can't. Listen,
all right.
I was also, like, out of the loop. I lost, like, 3 days. I don't know anything that happened before, like, 2 weeks ago.
All right, so before we get into it, there is one more thing I want to say, which is, first of all, thank you so much for everyone who has been generous and donated to Vishanti's fundraiser. It is linked in the description. It is in the pinned chat if you want to go help out. We are currently at 68% of the goal with $3,041 out of $4,500. That is the goal, and that is to make sure that Vishanti has basically food and utilities for the next quarter or so. And also she has some gig stuff coming up that is going to help extend that a bit. So, yeah, if you are a fan of all the help that Vishanti gives, or you just want to help a cool person out, there is a fundraiser, and I will be counting it towards things like Ben Gets Free Pizza, fancy avatars, maybe even me having to wear a pink tutu in 2 different Kent with Bents this month. It's possible. It could happen. Or I guess it wouldn't be 2 this month, because there's only 1 more this month. So I guess it would be, like, I'm doing it this month later, and then I would probably end up doing it again, I guess, next month. Whatever. You know what? Math, time, all of that it's just made up. You know? Time isn't real. Math is fake.
I've heard time is a weird soup.
I've also heard that. I've also heard that it's wibbly and wobbly.
I think most soup is wibbly and wobbly.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So is aspic. Yeah. Yeah. But instead of aspic, we're here primarily to talk about Lawrence Tisdall, who is a French-Canadian young earth creationist who runs some creationist ministry with some name in French that I don't remember because I don't know. I just don't.
We don't need to pick up another one.
Well, another one what?
Like AIG is a ministry.
Oh yeah, yeah,
this kind of thing, and like, you don't. And so is Kent Hovind. Like you don't need another ministry name to.
It's too.
It's around.
There's so many of them. Jeez.
There's so many, and they're so bad.
They
all make the same mistakes.
Actually, I was looking at one today, and they were like, "Oh, the book of First Enoch shouldn't be in the Bible because it has silly things like baby Noah talking." I'm like, yeah, if it had a snake or a donkey talking, though, that would be perfectly reasonable.
Is that, yeah, we're drawing the line at a talking baby?
Right, like, why is a talking baby not okay, but a talking snake is A-okay and no problem there? This is like, guys, you need a better reason to reject First Enoch. Like, I don't particularly care if you think First Enoch is like scripture or whatever. Like, it's no water off my back. But if your reason is that it has a talking baby and that's absurd, well, I've got bad news for you about Genesis, my friend. Like, what the heck? All right, we got a couple things to read here, and then we're gonna just dive right into it. So we got Mr. Cliff, who is a new member at Amiot. So welcome, Mr. Cliff. Dark Law Dragon, who's been a member for 35 months, is at the Tetchball level, says Godzilla, Mothra, Ghidorah, and drink, and we shall indeed take a drink. Or at least I will.
Was it a baby donkey?
No, it was baby Noah.
Noah wasn't a donkey?
I believe he is portrayed as a human in the text of First Enoch. Or maybe it was baby Enoch. I actually don't, now that I think about it. It was one of those two. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, you shouldn't trust atoms. They make up everything. True. This is absolutely, literally true. Well, not everything, but, you know. Roach in a localized standard compare color for $1.99 says, oh, 2 VTuber stream. I cannot refute this. Goop23 for $2 says, Boss Baby is unbiblical. I mean, technically, yeah. It is unbiblical.
Yeah. A sin.
All right, so we do this Tuesday's thing as a drinking stream. Now, here's the first thing I want to say about that. If you decide to play along with the drinking game, first, there is no obligation to do so at all. And if you do, there's also no obligation that you do it with an alcoholic beverage. I am currently drinking a hard cider, or for my non-American viewers, a cider, because America is basically the only place with soft cider, I suppose. So yeah, but if you want to play along, please do not feel like you have to have any kind of intoxicating substance. If you want to, you can play along with water, tea, juice, soda, tea, I said tea already, coffee, whatever, right? You can play along with chips, whatever you want. High five your neighbor, I don't care. It's just for fun. It's entirely made up in terms of like the rules and
one drink equals one stroke. Get it right.
So yeah, but if you do decide to play along and you play along with an intoxicating substance, please be careful, know your limits, pace yourself, and don't go out there and, operate heavy machinery, fly an airplane, drive a car, text your ex. Don't do any of those things. Now, what?
If you text your ex, make sure you tell me about it.
Yeah, actually, I would appreciate the screenshots from afterwards.
Yeah, leave that in the comment section down below or join the Discord.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so the reasons that we do take drinks will include if the creationist, in this case Lawrence here, says something so stupid we just have to drink because we need some brain coolant. If he tells a joke that doesn't land or tells a story that we're pretty sure didn't happen, it's a bit of a judgment call, but hey, then if we if he gets something that's actually factually correct and he's not just directly quoting something, right? If this is actually an idea that comes out of his brain and he says it aloud, we take that as he got something right and we take a drink. We'll also take a drink if he confuses what we can know about any wider taxon to which this Australopithecus afarensis specimen Lucy belonged with what we could know about that taxon just based on her skeleton alone in isolation. So for instance, if he's like, we don't even know if Lucy's species could walk upright because we don't have her feet. Well, okay, we have other feet from other Australopithecus, so like, who cares, right? We also will take a drink if that's called ad hominem.
Is there flippers?
Right, yeah, like there's not a whole lot of options for how her feet could have ended. Also, Fear Blarndmonger, who's been a member for 32 months and at the Tetraball level, says, at FanMed AIG. Pronounced OatFanMed. Okay, OatFanMed AIG, and then an AIG is a bag of dicks. And I will take a drink for that because, Swedish? I don't know. All right, so we will also take a drink if we look up a source that Tisdall has cited. And not only does the source fail to support him, but if it actively contradicts him. Which is, because the first... So the Toon has a first law of Flurf, which is that Flurf citations always contradict the Flurf's contentions. No exceptions. It's a little bit weaker with creationists, because every once in a while, they will cite... Actually, frequently they will cite sources that just don't actually inform on the topic at all, and have nothing really to do with this. But they do also very frequently cite sources that just directly contradict them, but it's not as universal as it is with LERFs.
It's a pretty universal with a lot of conspiracy theories. It's just how
Mhm.
common it is really like dependent.
Yeah. And it is Swedish, I'm hearing from Fearmonger. It's Swedish for to hell with AIG, which is a stronger curse in Swedish. Works for me. We will also take a drink if either Chesh or I can predict what's going to be coming up as the next statement where it's not very clear. And then we will also take a drink if... I think that's it for what he'll... Oh, no, wait. If he mentions that, political party from the Germany in, like, the 30s and 40s that everyone knows about, but that YouTube doesn't like us to talk about as much, we'll take a drink for that. We will also take a drink under certain circumstances, as you guys have seen. If anyone puts into a super chat or a membership milestone chat any of our kaiju channel emojis, which you do have to be a member for, then we will take a drink. If you say anything in a super chat or membership milestone chat to the effect that AIG are a bag of dicks, we'll take a drink. And also, we'll take a drink for each super chatted membership up to a certain limit. Once it goes past like 30, I'm just going to drain the rest of this drink and grab a new bottle of cider. So that is the plan there. Those are the drinking rules. Last time, Lawrence Tisdall was completely misunderstanding the idea of how organs form and thinking that they just had to sort of pop into existence out of nothing in evolution, as if all organs aren't actually just extensions and specializations of previous organs.
He was very also invested in his balls.
I mean, many men are, to be fair.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, gonads are important for many people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there are actually a lot of people who are also very invested in their ovaries, but they don't frame it that way. Instead, they frame it around things like, oh, I would really like to have a baby, or like, things like that, or trying to time when in their life they should have a baby. That's concern about your ovaries. It's just that you don't frame it that way.
The connotation is a little different, but yeah.
Yeah, but also it's sort of like, I feel like if the ovaries were just hanging out in a sack where they could get injured, then the concern about ovaries might be more literally centered on ovaries, even in terms of discourse.
I mean, maybe y'all should have just made a better decision and didn't leave your bits outside of your body.
That was not a decision that anyone made, and I don't have to worry about it, because as a dinosaur, my gonads are internal, whether male or female. So take that, mammals, most mammals, because it's also not proboscideans or cetaceans, so, whatever. For $5, Joshua Geese says, gonads! Thank you very much.
What a good start. We're doing good.
We are. This is a highbrow conversation here when talking about balls and ovaries and whatnot,
This is the mistake of bringing a goblin onto the channel.
Yeah, well, I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, what are you starting? You want to have a talk about science and, like, educational content? Hey,
Remember,
anyway, so nads.
This was primarily your idea. All right, we're going to hit play on this.
You don't just, you can't just, move a little bit at a time.
You can do a lot of science with balls. I actually haven't had a cider in a while. Then again, I also don't tend to drink them very much in the summer.
I may have been muted.
I'm not judging you. It's been a while since I had one.
I'm sorry. Well, first of all, Dapper's Professional. That's one of the ones that we forgot. So we'll take a drink there.
Hey.
I have a Red's Hard Apple here. So that's the answer to that question. My Unfinished Journey for $6.66 says, Saludos a Nero y Adapts y Chesh, y también saludos a cartones de cilindros como respuestas en también. And I'm going to take a drink. Thank you. Wolfman's got nards, says Rail Gatubella for $2. Alright. Here we go. We're gonna get more of this in.
So, basically, we say the origin of the complexity and the functional organization of the universe and life through an intelligent cause. That's what we're saying, is that's summarizing the creation model. An organized system always requires information.
But that doesn't tell us anything, right? Because evolution also predicts organization. So, like, I agree, if God specially designed all life, then sure, it would probably be organized, but so too would it be if there was common descent. So this is one of those, like, it can't help us distinguish between these two models. So I'm glad...
It's not useful. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything useful, basically.
Exactly.
It's just words on paper for now.
Not
until
even
they
on
can,
paper.
Until they can do something with it.
It's on the projector system right now. Or maybe that's a
Well,
giant
yeah,
screen.
lines on paper, words
Yeah.
on projector, something about thoughts. I don't know.
Remember that time that Kent Hovind put in his slide
That was really
THOTS? Oh my god. It's clear from the context he meant thoughts, like the things that you think. But he put THOTS and we're just like, what is going on?
Somebody there was like sending out a cry for help. That's what that was.
Possibly. Maybe it was a thought.
I
Maybe
just
there-
like that happened to happen
Right.
on one of the ones that I was there for.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
So you have intelligence plus matter plus energy will give you life.
What?
I mean, okay.
Oh.
Here's the thing. We don't have any evidence that would support that. All we have is people not understanding how life might have come about without intelligence, and therefore saying, well, then I guess it must be intelligence. But that's an argument from ignorance. That's not actually anything.
Life plus plus what?
It was energy plus matter plus intelligence equals life.
Energy plus I gotta write that down. Hold on. Energy plus life energy plus intelligence equals life.
Matter's
Plus
important.
matter
Yeah.
equals life.
Yeah.
So does that mean like you can move this like equation around? So if you got E plus
guess.
I plus M equals L, you could say like you could shift it around and say like if you
don't
switch
know.
if you flip the equation.
Maybe that would work. We'd have to ask Lawrence, I think. But of course, their other problem is that we have intelligence now, and we have matter and energy now, but we don't have a lot of examples of intelligent creatures now managing to make life out of non-biotic chemicals by design. So, like, it also doesn't seem like, based on what we observe now, that there's any positive evidence for it. So again,
Not intelligent enough.
well, maybe that is it.
I mean, people make life all the time, and they don't have to be smart for it.
But the key there is they don't make it from abiotic chemical constituents. They start from previous cells that are already alive.
Right.
And we've circled back around to gonads, everybody.
Yay.
Yay!
That's what I'm here for.
It's true. Rail got to Bella for $2 says, you'd think Einstein would have found that equation. I can just imagine him trying to write that down in some kind of, like, book for lay people. It's like, intelligence plus matter plus energy times time equals life over whatever.
I just want to know what the inverse, or like if you were to shuffle that equation around like you can with any other equation.
Well, it's the problem of using, like, math analogies in places where math is not an appropriate tool.
Yeah, like how are you gonna flip that? You're not. If you put like if I want to say I need to find out what was it? If I wanted to find out what energy was, how do I move the equation to get equals energy?
Oh, that's easy. So you take energy and you move it over to where life is, right? Okay, so now it's matter and intelligence equals life minus energy. Okay. Then you move the energy, or the life back over. So now you have matter plus intelligence minus life equals negative energy. Then you flip all the signs. So then you get what is it? Life minus energy minus intelligence equals matter. So this is pretty simple, actually. You can just do
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Basic
I'm like,
algebra.
can we start messing around with this a little bit and see what we end up with? Because it's gonna be nothing.
That wasn't nothing. I just gave you an equation right there.
It is. It is a
Yeah.
it is a function of some sort.
That's good algebra right there. Good old linear algebra. My unfinished song for $5 says, "Don't make fake equations that sound like they came from a woo-woo self-help book. Like and share the stream instead." With the winking tongue out emoji.
Eh.
Yep, I cannot disagree. Yeah. Oh, and I almost put in the wrong number on the tracker that keeps track of how much you guys are helping. All right, here we go.
And so that's what we're saying. In the evolutionary theory, they have matter and energy gives life over time.
Oh wait, so now it's all divided by time. So it's matter plus energy divided by time in evolution equals life.
I've never seen that in a textbook or in a paper explaining evolution.
You know, I haven't either, but it could just be that we're not as well versed in evolution as Lawrence Tisdall is. I mean,
I'm probably not.
of course, the difference is you're not going to intentionally lie about the parts that you do know about.
Well, yes, that, and also I'm not going to make absurdist claims.
Like various equations that don't make any sense when you actually think about them.
Time equals money,
Yes,
and money is the root of all evil.
I've seen that proof.
Yeah,
Which actually,
yeah.
I believe, also I've seen a similar proof that proves that women are evil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're missing the intelligence. Okay.
Oh, that was a joke.
that
that
supposed to
didn't
be a
land.
joke?
That was a joke that didn't land. We'll take a drink for that.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, the only
He
thing
called
that's...
us. He called us stupid, Dapper. What are we gonna do
Oh
about
no! I'm gonna take a
this?
drink.
Oh.
I already did. That's what I'm gonna do. The only thing funny
I'm
about that
drinking
joke
some
was how bad it was.
It did not land.
You can see the essence of life is information, right? You're basically...
No, what does that mean?
Essence of life
The
is information?
This is like a Derek Zoolander thing. Like, moisture is the essence of life, and life is the essence of beauty. As Derek Zoolander floats by as a merman. Intelligence is the essence of life.
Intelligence is the essence of life. Is it? Is it really? Are you sure?
I'm sure it's not, because you know what? Most organisms don't even have neurons, never mind a brain.
I just okay, I guess you have to start defining these terms, and good luck. Welcome to Philosophy 101.
Well, that's another thing, is they will never define what they mean by things like information or intelligence or anything like that. Like that, because the problem is, once you try to tie them down to any concrete definition, it's very obvious that whatever it is they think is a problem for evolution isn't actually a problem. And so they have to keep it vague, so that way you can never ask them for a specific reason why evolution can't do X or evolution can't proceed without Y. Lieutenant Matt... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Oh,
no,
okay.
you go.
Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, "So you're saying he's discovered the formula for warp drive that merely requires human sacrifice?" I mean, what is this? 40K?
May as well be. I mean, it's okay, but in light of that, it's not like science and human endeavors aren't all made via trial and error and sacrificing humans. Like, all advancement of humans is about comes with the cost of at the sacrifice of other humans.
I mean, I suppose, although that's not usually the kind of thing that we call human sacrifice.
Yeah, it comes at the sacrifice of, but we're not throwing people in volcanoes, you know what I mean?
Maybe we should bring it back.
We did do that, but until we learned that throwing people in volcanoes doesn't really do anything.
Well, I mean, it does if you need a person to be gotten rid of, and there's a handy volcano.
I mean, it's not that it doesn't have any use.
See, I'm not suggesting we bring it back as like a let's like propitiate the fire gods. It's more of a like, I don't know.
Maybe some people just need to be tossed in a volcano.
Yeah, look, I understand that France invented the guillotine, but I feel like if they had a handy volcano, they might have just used that instead. And so
Reasonable.
that's what I'm saying.
If we're gonna bring anything back, bringing the guillotine back might not be a terrible idea.
I mean, as someone who's generally against capital punishment, I still think that there might still be some uses for it.
I'm just saying, if we're going to use it, it's the most effective and efficient one that costs the least money and uses the least amount of actual like resources and needs the least amount of maintenance. And if you really had to, you can like mechanize and automate that so it goes real fast if you needed to.
Is this like hydraulic powered guillotining?
I mean,
I mean, it would. Well, that might get rid of the whole like it's super cheap because then you have to come up with a big hydraulic system. But it would definitely be effective.
You could also just like you could use like a pneumatic system and have it function the way any like pick and place robot like CNC machine does, like a cutter, and like any factory, and then just get a belt like a.
You've been thinking about this for a while, huh?
No, I'm just Canadian.
Oh, okay. Speaking of which, so is this guy.
Walking genetic codes. Well, you may think you're more than that. God thinks you're more than that, but I'm just a geneticist, so you're just walking
You're gonna
genetic
talk for
codes.
God? You don't know what God thinks about me.
Also, I want to point out, he has now claimed to be a geneticist, which is something I did not know, which means anytime he screws up genetics, he's probably not just mistaken, he's probably lying.
Let's go.
MK Ultra, I will not make a comment on this platform as to whether or not you are right, but I think you can guess.
I'm joking, but you are information. You're the expression of the information that God has put in that very first cell. See that?
Okay, well, what does that mean? Because when he says I'm a geneticist and you're information, and he connects that to the genetic code, then what I think the information of the genetic code is just the list of nucleotides broken up per chromosome, right? So you take each of your 46 chromosomes, and you list out the order of all of the nucleotides, and then maybe you can put in places like where the histones that the chromosome is wrapped around or something, like sure, maybe. But then the problem is, well, creationists never actually accept that, because then it becomes trivially easy to show that new information pops into existence all the time, because that's literally every mutation.
Right.
So he's going to contradict that later. I'm pretty confident.
Well, okay, so that's a prediction.
It is.
So keep in mind that one. On top of that, as soon as he says this is what you are or who you are, you're now getting into, again, really complex philosophy. And so if you're gonna start going down the route of like, okay, who you are as a person defined by God, made up of whatever energy, life, intelligence equation you want to throw out there, as if you didn't just say a bunch of garbled nonsense, and you may as well just told me there's 15 pancakes on the roof sliding to the left. Like, so what? What do you mean? What?
You only picked pancakes because your country's major export is maple syrup.
I mean, waffles would work.
That's true. Fear Blindmonger says, I remember from the last stream we found out he's a plant geneticist at best. Oh, yeah. Which is really funny because he's almost certainly going to focus on animals because that's what his audience likes. It's true. Plant blindness is real. Humans, pay attention to plants. Plants are important.
I like plants.
Yeah. Which reminds me, did you ever get that grow room going?
No, not yet. It's,
well, there's your problem.
That's
How
a
long has it
relatively
been?
big. What?
How long has it been since you've been working on that?
Oh, not very. Because I was looking at doing the turning the shed in the backyard into like a little bit of a grow spot, but that won't be until like I'm not going to start really working on that until fall. But the I did get a skid, like a pump skid that you put like junk on at a factory. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I got one of those, so I'm gonna be working on a little project where I gotta build some little boxes and get some S hooks and get some drills and
wait, hold on.
Get a.
Are you tall enough to actually reach up to the like little handle on the skid so you can move it around?
No, this is
Okay.
also just a small skid. I don't have a skid pump. It's just a skid.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like,
I'm
how could
gonna-
you possibly use one? You're only like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna tip it sideways and I'm gonna plant like basil and dill and like all that parsley and like have it so I can just set it up. And I want to see if I can get like a little bit of hose and get like a little bit of like an east trough for rainwater collection so it'll like drip down.
Oh wow, that's getting very fancy.
We'll see. It's gonna be a little bit fancy, but the idea is so that I can just bring it inside in the wintertime.
Because the winter time there is basically the death zone, and it lasts 6 months anyway.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, like, actually a geneticist or one based on Ken Hovind's definition of doctor? So, the thing is, it's actually becoming less frequent, I'm finding, to find creationists who are making up degrees. It seems like pretty much all the ones I find who are actually still doing that, who are like pretending to have degrees that they don't, are the ones who've been doing it for decades, like Carl Baugh and Kent Hovind. So I'm actually becoming inclined to just accept that they have these degrees because, for one thing, having a degree is actually not necessarily a great thing for a creationist, because while it lends them an air of authority among creationists, what it means for people who know the subject they're talking about is that they don't have any excuse for saying this nonsense, right? And the thing is, if you actually talk to people who actually have PhDs, they don't really care if people have PhDs. They care about what they have in terms of like arguments and evidence for their claims that are within their area of expertise, right? Like,
Yep.
if you have a PhD, you're not impressed when someone can just quote a bunch of PhDs or say, well, I have a PhD in blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, cool. I don't care. Where's your data?
So does the ninja Brian in the band Ninja Sex Party.
Good to know. Goop do 3 for $5.
He's got a PhD.
I believe you. I believe him. Goop do
Yeah.
3 for $5 said, if I had a nickel for every young Earth creationist plant geneticist who spreads nonsense about genetics, I'd have 2 nickels. True. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it
They're
happened
multiplying.
twice. Yeah. The other one, by the way, in case you're wondering, is John Sanford. He was a plant geneticist. And, yeah, so. I suppose he still is. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's retired, basically, so I guess he's not really doing plant genetics anymore, so, like, I guess was is still appropriate. I don't care. John, if you feel offended by me using the past tense for you being a plant geneticist, let me know. I'll fix it. You can email me. the.dapper.yt@gmail.com. Go for it. I don't care. You know, people have actually asked, like, how do I get in contact with you? I don't have your email. It's like, dude, just list it in my channel. Like,
It's public. You have to have a public-facing email to have a YouTube channel.
Right. Is it the YouTube that I use for everything? Or sorry, the email I use for everything? No, it's primarily for the channel. But, like, also, then people will say, like, well, it says it's only for business inquiries. It's like, yeah, you're talking about my channel or coming on my channel or something like that. That's a business
That's
inquiry.
business.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Send me the email.
I hate people so much.
Sometimes they can be a lot.
I'm so maybe that's why I've been so exhausted lately. Maybe I'm just done.
Chesh burnout.
Yeah,
Hey, I mean, it can happen.
it can happen.
The whole question
Got
of
burned out of stupid.
I feel that so hard.
Mm.
when are you human? That's not a debate. As soon as that cell has fertilized,
That is
code
the debate.
same.
I mean, it
That
is
is
a
no.
debate. Yeah, it is a debate. And also, I don't know why we're on to abortion. For one thing, I can guarantee you all these people in this church agree with him about abortion. So, like, I don't know who he's giving this to. But so here's a few things. It is true that a zygote is, in fact, not the same organism as either the father or the mother. And it is true that the species to which that organism belongs is Homo sapiens. So, I would say that it's probably not biologically plausible to argue that that's not a human. But the thing is, it's a lot more complicated than that. There are also concerns about things like personhood, the permissibility of killing humans, which is not just universally impermissible in any society that I'm aware of. And we also get into things like what happens when the alleged rights of a potential, but probably not actual person come into conflict with the actual definite rights of an actual person. And those are the things. It's not actually very interesting to the topic of abortion debates, question as to whether or not a zygote is alive and a human. Because the thing is, you can answer yes to both, and it doesn't actually help you make any calls about abortion at all.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a red herring for the abortion discussion. The abortion discussion is about the priority of life, and what and how and who has rights that you're going to circumcede over other people's rights. That's or whether or not you think the state should be able to circumcede you or your significant others' choices in their medical needs, as well as the doctors. However, it is not a. There is no like solid, this is the definition of life in science either. Like, because particularly biology, because we're talking about life, depending on what you're talking about different kinds of things. So not every definition you use is like defining a chair.
So
We all
that's-
might recognize what a chair is, but
Right.
defining a chair to be only applicable to a chair is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, although
if
I will
not
say
impossible.
that while defining life is a bit of a continuum problem, right? Because we have things that do some of the things that life typically does and some things that don't.
Yes.
I
It's
will
not
say
impossible,
it
and
is-
it works in
I will say
the
that
function.
a human zygote is way past the line of ambiguity onto alive or not alive,
Sure.
because functioning cells are alive by everyone's definition. Because the one thing that everyone can agree on is that cellular life is in fact alive. So if something's a
Right.
functioning living cell, it's a life form, or it's part of a life form. In this case, as a zygote, it's a life form because it's not part of any other life form, even if it will shortly be attached to another life form. Also, here's a fun thing: the placenta and whatnot, fetal tissue, not maternal tissue. Yeah. So
Well, so do we have to save that too now? No, is it cannibalism now if we're eating the placentas?
I mean, it's cannibalism either way. That's human flesh, no matter whose flesh it is.
Does it count as cannibalism if you're eating your own flesh?
Sure, why not? Auto cannibalism.
Huh.
But also, no one's feeding the placenta to their babies, so since it's fetal tissue,
Right.
the babies aren't eating their own flesh. You're eating your baby's
Exactly.
flesh.
Well, they are, because that's isn't the whole point, is like you eat your placenta so that way it goes into your breast milk, so that way the baby gets it back.
I guess technically that's like in a roundabout way, but then in that case, like
Is
if
mom is
if
just
you're
a
breastfeeding,
blender.
like if you're breastfeeding and you eat a pizza and then you breastfeed your baby, does that mean your baby's having a pizza? I would say no.
Listen, the mothers, women are just baby makers that are then go from being baby makers to being food processors.
I would disagree that encompasses all that it is. Although I will say that does encompass some major reproductive functions. There is an aspect to which that might work, but yeah, not generally.
Sorry, I've been watching too much Charlie Kirk.
Jeez, gross.
Same as what you have now. You're just as fully human there as you are now.
I mean, if by fully human you just mean a member of the species Homo sapiens, then yeah, sure, whatever. But again,
Who's arguing that?
yeah. Look, if you're trying to do the pro-choice thing by arguing that a fetus isn't human, you're barking up the wrong tree.
If anybody cares, abortion's been legal in Canada for a very long time, and surprise, surprise, our society has not collapsed.
But now, soon you're going to have no babies. No more babies. What's going to happen in Canada? Although it is actually kind of happening in both Koreas. So,
Yeah.
Although that's actually not so much because of a high abortion rate, it's more of a really, really low pregnancy rate. People just don't want to get pregnant.
I mean, it's happening in a lot of places. There's issues, but that's mostly economics.
Yeah. Osiris Phantom AIG for 200 Argentinian pesos says, fun fact, cannibalism is the only vegan meat as long as it's obtained with consent. I guess technically that might work.
You've got a point.
I still maintain that it is possible for honey to be vegan, as if you have a hive where you are not clipping the wings of the queen, because bees, if their queen can fly, they will leave if they are unhappy with their housing situation. They will just up as a swarm, leave, and go somewhere else and build a new nest. I've seen bees do it not that long ago.
Yeah.
So I think this was probably like 2.5 years ago or something. I walked out the front door and looked at the mesquite tree that is no longer with us because of a tornado. And there was an entire swarm of bees just chilling right there on the mesquite tree. Like,
my God.
Thousands and thousands of bees just hanging out. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go back inside and close the door. And they'll move on, hopefully.
Bees.
If they don't, I guess
Bees are great.
They are. But yeah, so like if you're not clipping the wings on your queen and the hive is still staying with you, then I think that means that they're doing it voluntarily, or as much of a voluntary thing as a bee could ever do.
That seems fair to me.
Yeah.
It's not like you get nothing in exchange.
Yeah. They definitely get one of the best hive locations that you could possibly imagine. And even like beehives are known to stick around after honey harvesting because European bees are actually domesticated and they make too much honey.
Yep.
And so they don't really care that much. Unlike what you might find in the bee movie.
You just have more of the same code.
What, you just have more of the same code as a baby? But you don't have the same code. You have a genetic makeup that's distinct from either of your parents. And in fact, you also are going to have variations in your genome that neither of them had. It's called mutations. I'm just going to take a drink for that.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah, this man is a geneticist, everybody.
And the essence of information is an intelligent cause.
Yet more Derek Zoolander nonsense. The essence of information is an intelligent cause. Okay, so if I take a bunch of information and I scrunch it down, is an intelligent cause going to pop out? Like, I've got a hard drive right here. Not even in a case, right? Just a hard... Well, I mean, it has the case that, like, you screw into your computer, but it doesn't have, like, an external hard drive case or anything.
Yeah.
If I crush this down, like, if I put it in my blender, crush it down, pop it into, like, a hydraulic press or something, is intelligence going to squeeze out? No. Because here's the other thing.
In fact, the information might get destroyed.
Possibly. Here's the other thing, right? Information, because we both know what he's really trying to say, and just doing a terrible job of doing it, is that information comes from intelligent sources. But we also know that's not true. Most branches of science gather a lot of information that was not the result of an intelligent agent making any decisions, right? Like, Chesh, you do a volcano watch show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And although we like to, sort of half-jokingly talk about Madame Pele, the Hawaiian volcano goddess, I'm pretty sure that neither you, nor Landon, nor Manya think that Madame Pele is an actual intelligent entity that can be, like, negotiated with, or reasoned with, or propitiated in any meaningful way, right?
Correct.
Okay. And yet, the volcanoes on Hawaii, which is the primary focus of your show, I would say,
yes.
that produces a lot of information.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you talk about that information. And sure, the information is processed and analyzed by intelligent agents, but it's not produced by intelligent
Allegedly.
agents. Well, Landon's pretty smart.
Yeah, but I'm there. I'm just dragging the whole show down.
Well, I figure, like, maybe you plus Manya, like that cancels out, and then all we're
Manya
left with
plus
is...
Manya plus Landon isn't enough to get divided by Chesh equals a Dapper.
That's too much fake math for me.
That's what the tavern is.
Seriously. Dutch, the place of hostilities tunicate for $2 says, Dapper, that's too much nuance, E-talk. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that I have met some...
I like bees.
Bees are cool. I have definitely met some vegans who are like, it's an animal product. I'm like, yeah, but isn't your whole thing about, like, consent and animal suffering and whatnot? Like, it's an animal product. Okay, cool. That's whatever. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, I think this guy had the same English teacher as Jordan Peterson.
Actually, maybe.
Not impossible.
Not impossible. There is a non-zero probability chance that Lawrence Tisdall has in fact interacted with Jordan Peterson.
I mean, Canada isn't the biggest country in the world in terms of population.
Well, that and Jordan Peterson worked at the University of Toronto.
Yeah.
And so, like, Toronto's kind of like a bit of a hub for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Although this guy, I feel like he spent a lot of time in Quebec because he's French Canadian.
Yeah, he's Quebecois. But, yeah. I mean, Jordan Peterson also spent a lot of time in Alberta because he's from Alberta.
Rail Got to Bella for $2 says, I don't know, Pele did play football pretty well. You know what? That is a compelling counterpoint. Yeah. I did in fact hear about that. All right, here we go.
In other words, we've never seen a system that contains information that its cause was not intelligence.
What?
Yes, we have.
How do you know this one?
Yeah, we're just gonna take a drink on that one.
How do you know that we have a sample size of 1, my friend?
Well, actually, I mean, I could argue that we actually have a gigantic sample size, and that many of them are information-containing systems that don't have an obvious, or even at all, an intelligent source. And here's the thing, right?
I think if you argue that, you run into the problem that they say, but everything was designed by God initially and now, so there is no anything that's happening without God.
I mean, okay, I am willing to just say, yeah, sure, fine. But at that point, what that becomes is our like general versus special creation, right? So special creation
Sure.
is the idea that God came in and he specifically created certain things that we see today, more or less in roughly the way that we see them today, right? So he made elephants as a group. He made, apes and...
He made 17
Guppies.
different kinds of dogs. It's
Sure.
fine.
But also he made the earth directly and stuff like that. General creation is just like, God is the creator of the universe broadly.
Mhm.
But,
And then stuff just went from there.
but he may have set the universe up such that it would result in his desired outcome, but he is not directly creating every single thing in the universe. Like, he didn't sit down and make elephants. He made the universe in which elephants arose. And I don't have a problem with people who want to go for general creation, because it doesn't deny any aspect of science.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing in
I
science
think
that
that's
I
the
know
way a
of.
lot of people actually go.
Yeah,
'Cause it
and
makes the most sense.
I'm fine with that. Look, if I don't think that we have any reason to think that, say, like the Big Bang required a god. I have not found any compelling reason to think that. However, if you want to say that that's what you think is what creation is, okay, cool, fine.
Sure,
I am A-okay with that. No problem. And so the problem is that Lawrence Tisdall here is, in fact, a special creationist. He does not want to just say that God is the author of creation broadly. He wants to say specifically, God created living things in roughly the state that we find them now, despite some adaptation, as I'm sure he'd call it. And that, the narrative that we get in Genesis 1 and also somehow 2 and 3 are literally true, even though they contradict each other. Don't worry about that. Which is actually another reason that from that creationist place that I was looking at to reject First Enoch. They were like, it contradicts the Bible. I'm like, yeah, well, so does the Bible. The Bible contradicts itself within the first 2 pages. What are you talking about? It contradicts the Bible. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $10 says, that volcano is there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop.
Correct. Accurate.
All right, here we go.
That's what SETI is about. SETI is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Hey, he got that right. Take a drink. Good job, everybody.
Yay!
They want just 4 little dots. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, there's intelligence out there.
No.
Then he proceeded to get it very wrong.
SETI is not looking for 4 beeps. But here's actually another problem. It's actually been a big debate. Like, how would you recognize a signal from aliens? Because we have no idea what they would, like, how they would communicate, or what an alien signal would look like, or whether or not they would be intending to try to broadcast their existence into the cosmos. Like, we just don't know.
Yeah, it falls under the same kind of problem that you say of like recognizing life. It's like we understand like carbon-based life forms, but would we be able to recognize something that wasn't carbon-based as easily? And the answer is no. Would we be able to recognize something that wasn't carbon-based at all? The answer, maybe. It's this arrogance that I think that it comes with a lot of young Earth creationism. I mean, it comes with just a lot of people as well. Is that we're just better than other things, or we're smarter than other things? And the answer is no, we're not.
I mean, humans are smarter than some things. They're obviously smarter than
by
pelagic
our
tunicates.
metrics that we made up to measure them by.
I mean, come on, pelagic tunicates exist, and humans are definitely smarter than pelagic tunicates.
Sure, there's a degree of like, there are a lot of other things that live on the planet that live incredibly fantastical lives and have societies and have different ways of communicating, and we just don't respect it at all.
Yeah, that's generally true.
I can show them a lot of dots on the genetic code. It's like they have one level of analysis for telescope.
Yeah, somehow he's trying to compare a hypothetical alien signal to the genetic code. Except
and like not recognizing the genetic code as a way of communication.
Well, I mean,
is God trying to talk to us through our DNA? Is that what he's doing?
I mean, maybe that's what he's going for. I don't know. Maybe he's doing that phosphorus backbone spelling out Yahweh thing, which is actually
Why
fake.
does the young Earth creationist God suck at communicating so much?
Oh, it's because the young Earth creationist God basically just doesn't exist, and so he can't communicate at all.
It's a grift.
Yeah, it's a grift. Although I guess I can't say, I actually do think most of the young Earth creationists, even the ones who are very dishonest, do believe in special creation.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I just think that they're okay with lying to support it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can do a lot of, you can justify a lot of things.
Yeah.
Especially when you use a god.
I mean, I also look at it like with like in politics, right? Like there are people who will go campaigning for a politician who will lie about that politician in order to get more people to vote for that person.
Yeah.
They do want you to vote for that person. Otherwise, why would they do it? They do actually believe that that is the person who should be in whatever office, right? But they're going to lie to support it. And I don't think that's generally okay. But I think that that's mostly what's happening with creationism. I think most creationists, even the ones who are definitely lying, which is a lot of them, it's basically all the PhDs, I do think they actually believe in special creation and a young Earth and what. I just think that they know that some of their arguments aren't true, but they figure that because the overarching message is true, then it's okay to lie.
It's okay to be a little bit wrong. Yeah. There's a degree of absurdity to me to have this all-knowing, all-powerful God, but we're supposed to be looking for weird little communication clues in our DNA. Like, bro, just pick up the phone.
855 555 God. Well, wait, that's not enough numbers. God 1. There you go. Or 3, because Christians in the Trinity and whatnot. There you go.
God, big dick.
That's too. Oh, that's too many letters. Too many numbers.
No, you gotta have an area code.
Oh, the area code is God.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I guess that could work. I mean, actually, if you want to hear about God and Big Dick, you should watch the most recent Kip Davis stream over on his channel, because it's mostly about that. It's mostly about the idea that a good interpretation of Isaiah is that Isaiah, in his vision of the temple, is impressed by God's just gigantic dick.
Now I need to look up what that would be, like what the numbers would be.
For a gigantic dick?
No, for like the phone number for God.
Oh,
like 855. Yeah, I need to. I'm gonna find out what it is.
Okay, let us know, and then don't call that number because that could actually just be someone's number.
Yeah, I'll type it in the chat.
Okay. Let's see. Lieutenant Math the Navigator for $2 says humans occasionally smarter than rocks, except for the atheists who are also rocks. Bad joke. Osiris Phantom AIG for 200 Argentinian peso says, Dapper, I have a counter argument. No pelagic tunicate has ever voted Trump, Milei, Bolsonaro, Zapatero, or the Hungarian guy, Orban. Pelagic tunicates are greater than humans. Here's the thing, though. Pelagic tunicates also suck at making hamburgers, so don't care.
That's the line.
That is one of my lines, yeah. It's if you're good at making hamburgers, you are a superior species.
Listen, I have one problem with the human species, and I think that we're all like, just one main issue.
Okay.
The fact that phone dial number order is flipped from computer number order.
Yeah.
Why did we do that?
That is really weird, and I don't know.
It must have been on purpose. Like, it has to have been like, oh no, we want to distinguish these two things for some reason. Because why would we do that?
Yeah,
Cursed.
You got me. I don't know.
I will also buy that we did it to mess with each other on purpose, though. Like, I would absolutely buy that was the reason. So yeah, the number would be 463-224-3425.
Do not call that number. Please, that is probably someone's number. Don't call it. All right, here we go.
Scopes and a different level of analysis for
it.
microscopes. But if they were used to say the same criteria that they use for telescopes on their microscopes, they'd say, "Wow, there's a lot of intelligence here."
What? The criteria they're using for their telescopes are radio signals. What are you talking about, Lawrence? Plus, they're looking for signals that we know don't come about naturally. That's how they're doing it. But we see how DNA comes about. And it is naturally, and it doesn't require intelligence for DNA to be replicated. So, no, I'm taking it. I'm taking a drink.
Aliens aren't going to talk to us because we have these flipped number pads.
That's true. That's why we haven't been visited.
Yep.
But yeah, the thing is, every time we see DNA come about, new DNA, it comes about without, well, except in like laboratories where you're synthesizing DNA. But every time we look at a living thing and look at how its DNA came about, how it produces more DNA for its offspring and things like that, right? It doesn't require intelligence.
Don't tell Lawrence about viruses.
Yeah. But like, like right now, your body is making DNA. My body is making DNA. I'm not thinking about it. And it still does it anyway.
Yeah,
So-
he's doing complexity equals intelligence.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite. That's the
Well,
opposite.
Intelligence can create complexity, but intelligence generally strives for simplicity to the extent possible. Whereas
Right.
evolution absolutely does not, which is why you get absurd Rube Goldberg nonsense in the cell, which is all over the place.
That's
Kent-
also why you get big, long giraffe necks with really long tendons all the way up its
Yep.
its little larynx thing that goes all the way down to its chest and all the way back up.
That is the recurrent laryngeal nerve, which, yes, starts at the brain,
Laryngeal.
goes down to the heart, wraps around the blood vessel, and it comes all the way back up to the voice box, which is just under the jaw. Yep. Fun times.
Listen, if there was a special creation for anything, it was giraffes.
Kent, the bacteria kind Halstead for $4.99 says, "Are they just handing out PhDs like candy these days?" Not that I know of. So I mean, he probably did go through a lot of work, but here's the thing, right? People get PhDs for different reasons. So you get people who like, I really like this particular area of study. I want to investigate it. I want to sink my time into it. I want to become an expert. I want to contribute to this area of human knowledge. Okay, that's one good reason I would say to get a PhD. But then you get people like Jason Lyle, or actually, no, I'm thinking of Nathaniel Jeanson. For some reason, I always mix up Nathaniel Jeanson and Jason Lyle, and I don't know why. I mean, other than the fact that they're both white guys, like that, and creationists, like I have no idea what in the world would make me confuse them all the time, but I do. But Nathaniel Jeanson is like on record saying, "Well, I got my PhD so that I could lie to people about biology." And he didn't
Yeah.
use those words, but he was like, "How can I use and abuse my degree for the kingdom of God?" And the answer is
I mean, to be
obviously
fair,
lying
that's
about
like
biology.
something like I would do. I'm getting a PhD for the meme. Like, I'm not getting it because I want to do anything good with it. I just want it for the meme.
Kesh, if you send me $500, I will send you the fanciest fake degree that you can get.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it'll be from
Dip
Dapper
is saying that he received no candy with his degree. That's unfortunate. That should be a requirement. You should get a jar of jelly beans or something.
Well, do you have to fight the snake over in Canada when you get your degree?
Depends on the degree.
Okay, because in the United States, one of the traditional aspects of getting a PhD is that after you finish your defense of your dissertation, you then have to go and fight a snake, and you can tell
Yeah.
how well you did on your defense by what species of snake they send after you. So, like, if you did a really good job, then it's like, okay, well, you have to fight this like milk snake. But then
Well,
if
yeah,
it's
but
like,
with-
oh, that was terrible, it's like, here's a black mamba, good luck.
We just use Canadian geese for most things, which are also known as cobra
Oh.
chickens.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys are vicious. Actually, there's at least one dead goose. It's my fault because
Aw.
at one point I was talking about how much I hate geese and how much of a pain in the ass they can be, and I was like, if you see a goose driving as you're driving, just run it over. And apparently, someone took that seriously, and then they were like,
No!
Dapper, I killed a goose, and I was like, oh,
Oh, you're not supposed to do that.
don't.
That's sad.
Okay, sorry, goose. Ugh.
Oh, that person's a psycho. All right.
Or maybe it's me for encouraging goose murder.
I mean,
So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. And in the meantime, you guys
Ow.
can enjoy the musical stylings of One Bent Hovind. And we do not have a trailer for the next Star Trek game, but that should be coming soon-ish. I may have spent the time that I should have been using working on the trailer, playing Mechanicus on Steam. So, yeah. That game has a really good
Yay.
soundtrack, by the way. So, yeah. Anyway.
I love when a game has a good soundtrack.
It has a better soundtrack than a game with that kind of budget should have any reason to have, and yet it does, and I appreciate it. It also has possibly the best game trailer, the best non-gameplay trailer for a game that I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Anyway, we're out of here.
For a minute.
We are back. Welcome back, Chesh.
Hello.
Hello. All right. So, looks like we don't have any new super chats to read. Let's double check the fundraiser. See if anyone has gifted over there. Does not look like it. So I will say, if you do want to help Vishanti out, that is a very direct way to help out. So please do consider that if you can afford it. But also, it's after the break, so you know, this channel is almost entirely supported directly by the viewers, the audience, the fans, if you will. And so if you like this channel, if you like what I'm doing, and you're not currently supporting financially, and you can afford to, and you're interested in doing so, we do have a number of great ways. There is a Patreon linked in the description. You can join the channel memberships. Those start at $1 and $1.99 per month, respectively. On Patreon, there's a 15% discount if you go annually. You get early access to my scripted videos, one of which should be coming out hopefully like tomorrow, but I can't promise that. There's also, it gives you access to my Discord server that's just for supporters, which is actually a really fun place. And also, if you like cat pics, they are very frequent there. So, you know, it also, you know, obviously super chats, membership chats, all that, or membership gifting, all that stuff helps immensely. There's also a merch store. Also, Chesh's channel is linked, so go check out Chesh's channel.
Yay!
So yeah, Chesh has cool stuff, including sometimes me. Sometimes me is there. All right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm almost at 4K, so help me get over that bump. Cool, thanks.
All right. And so, yeah, help out if you can and if you want to. And if you're interested in helping Vishanti out directly, like I said, there's a link to her fundraiser in the chat as the pinned chat. It's also in the description. Also, both she and I have Amazon wish lists linked in the description in case you just want to get us something. And what I usually say is the Amazon wish list is mostly there as like a psychological support, because anytime something comes in from the gift wish list, I'm like, "Aw, nice, people care," and it makes me happy. and I appreciate that. And then sometimes I look at previous things that have been gifted to me, and I get warm, fuzzy feelings inside. And those are hard to come by in 2025. So, yeah. All right. Here we go.
Got codes. Even your...
Why are his mouth noises louder than his voice? Who might this?
I don't know. Whoever did the audio for this needs to like get thrown into that volcano that we talked about earlier.
Yes, seriously. Like,
it's really bad.
you should never have a situation where someone's inhales are louder than just the words they're saying.
I I volunteered at a church that had a proper, had a sound system set up. And we did have to futz with it on a regular basis, but it had, the camera set up, it was a big enough church, yada, yada, yada. And so, I have never, my entire time attending that church, ever heard anybody sound like this.
Yeah, this is atrocious.
Your Oxford professor.
Oh, yay, it's Richard Dawkins. Oh, God, I hate Richard Dawkins. Here's the thing. One, Richard Dawkins is a horrible bigot. He should just go live under a rock and never come out again. Second, he's been possibly the worst thing to happen to, philosophy or religion discourse in, living memory.
He doesn't do philosophy and then does philosophy, or people take philosophy from things that he says, and it's this isn't philosophy.
Yeah, well, the problem is that he wrote The God Delusion, which was just a bunch of, religious philosophy. Then but what he didn't do in writing that book was, actually look into what is involved in religious philosophy, what are the technical terms, what's the jargon in religious philosophy, or
there
philosophy of
is a
religion.
really big problem with the online atheist ecosphere, as well as the atheist ecosphere in general, when it came to the big debate things that were going on back in the day. And it was that they did lack in philosophy, and there's current day atheist channels and internet they're just ignorant of and very foo-foo about philosophy. And I'm gonna say it's Steve's fault.
Also, if there's one phrase that really annoys me, it's I don't do philosophy of religion, I'm an atheist. It's dude, saying you're an atheist is doing
That's
philosophy of
philosophy.
religion.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
It drives me and I feel bad about it, but at the same time I'm just whatever.
It's like saying I don't do food prep as you're making a pasta dish to toss in the freezer for next week's lunch. That's what food prep is.
Yeah, it's like saying I don't do politics, but anyway, this Trump policy's bad.
Right, exactly. Pro tip. If you can define anything about your belief or lack thereof, or disbelief in gods or angels or anything like that, being able to do that is you doing philosophy of religion.
That's philosophy. Everybody can do philosophy.
Everyone-
It's you're doing it right now.
Yeah, everyone does. It's not you don't have a choice in that. You are doing philosophy by just deciding which things to believe, which things to reject, how to think about the world, how to interact with the world. That's what philosophy is.
I have a show titled Living with Philosophy, whether you like it or not.
Yep. All right, here we go.
You're happy atheist from this island. Biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose.
That was not a joke that did land. Weird.
Yes.
Yeah, so Dawkins did say this, right? Biology is the science of, explaining things that look designed but aren't. And, he's not wrong. Intuitively,
Sure, yeah.
life kind of feels designed. I get it. That's why people defaulted to that being,
It's a vibe.
Yeah. But guess what science doesn't care about? Vibes.
Yeah.
Although creationism seems to care about vibes. Do you know about the cognitum? I'm going to take that as a no.
No, I said no.
Oh, it didn't come
No.
through.
No.
So the cognitum is one of the ways that certain creationists try to figure out what the kinds are. And basically it comes down to
Oh.
well, these two organisms had different vibes, so I put them in different kinds. It's oh, okay, very rigorous, much science, got it.
I like Gup's super chat for 5 says everyone has philosophy. It came with free with your higher level thinking.
It's literally true.
Yeah.
Yep. No lies detected. Although I don't think that we're going to be unleashed from our limited cursing.
Ah, well, that's a shame.
But hey, we've saved the one free F-bomb until the second half, so like we're doing pretty well.
I'm doing good. I'm
Hey,
behaving.
the other day, Kip dropped it before we even started the video. I was like, Kip, what are you doing? And it was like for a really, really dumb reason. And he was like, man, I wasted the free F-bomb on that. I'm like, yeah, you did. Kip. He's in the chat, so I get to make extra fun of him.
Nice.
I sort of agree with them.
You agree with him about the right thing? Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah, he's right. Yeah, I mean, you should agree with him on that.
All right. Who knows what this is?
I don't know because
The
your
blue screen.
Yeah, your cameraman isn't showing us.
It's the blue screen of death. Windows has failed.
Apparently, Windows is getting rid of that for Windows 11, and it's going to be like a completely different like crash screen or something.
Aw, that's
Yeah,
sad.
I'll miss the blue screen of death when it goes to like I don't know the black screen of death or something.
The blue screen of death dies.
Yeah. Rip
Task
blue
successfully
screen.
failed.
A platypus.
Oh, okay, it's a platypus, guys.
I mean, if you want to pick an animal that is going to be a special creation, not a bad choice.
Well, it's not a bad choice
On vibes.
Well, yeah, on vibes, sure. But if you know anything about like the actual history of mammal evolution, the platypus is not actually all that crazy or weird or unexpected. It's a little weird that it's still alive, but that's about it.
It's one of those things that it's weird if you don't know anything about it.
Right, which I guess is most things.
Probably mispronounce everything for you, and you probably say evolution, which I love because it sounds like evolution.
Just drink.
But I'll say evolution because it's the way we pronounce it.
Haha. Did you know that people in England and people in Canada have different accents, everybody? Haha. Ha ha ha.
We pronounce words different sometimes.
Wow.
In different places on the world. It's almost like there's an evolution to language.
This is a platypus. Now, I love starting debates with questions. You see,
John Hopkins for $5 says, Chesh Unleashed. Also, I do agree with Jillian's suggestion that the Unleashed goal should count for a future stream.
That's
Here's the problem. I will forget.
and the tool doesn't really enable that very well.
Yeah, it's true. It would be an interesting idea to get like just a general for next stream fund that people could do, but I also don't know a great way to like set that up that would be both effective and that I would remember to check. Oh, sorry.
All right, Dapper. This has got to be your best Doofenshmirtz accent imitation.
I don't. What?
You don't know Doofenshmirtz?
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Oh, that's okay. I'll fix that after.
Should you
Don't
do it
worry,
then?
I got you.
Okay, go for it.
No, you got to read it, but I'll get you after.
Oh, okay.
I'll get this taken care of.
You're gonna give me dialect coaching? That'll be a change.
Yeah.
I might be Chesh's Klingon dialogue coach.
I'm just gonna send you a gif of Doofenshmirtz.
Well, that's not dialogue or dialect coaching at all.
Yeah.
All right. Osiris Phantom AIG for 200 Argentinian pesos says, "What kind of blue screen are you? A blue screen platypus? Perry the blue screen platypus? Perry the platypus!"
Perry the platypus
Yeah, I don't get that reference.
from a show called Phineas and Ferb.
Ah, there you go. I haven't really seen Phineas and Ferb.
It's probably a little bit after your time.
It is. I mean, my time was, like 100 million years ago, so like, yeah.
But Doofenshmirtz is great. If all the show was Perry the Platypus, I would probably watch more of it.
Well, maybe there should be a spin-off.
Well, you remember back in the day when Dexter's Laboratory was first airing?
Yes, I remember when it was first airing.
There was a side sort of story that went on with his super monkey.
Vaguely.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Okay. Lieutenant Matt the Navigator for $5 says, "The platypus is the Carlos II of Spain of mammals. They baffle Christendom by continuing to live. Okay.
Index laboratory.
Platypus is a very interesting creature.
Sure,
It
take a
has
drink.
The beak of a duck.
No.
The tail of a beaver.
No, so we're gonna take 3 drinks here. 1, 2.
You should let him finish because he's probably going to
Wait.
list more bits.
Well, he is, but we're going to talk about these ones. Okay, so first, the platypus, while sometimes being called a duck-billed platypus, does in fact not have the bill of a duck. Instead, what it actually has is just extensive nose tissue. That thing is just the same thing that your nose is made of. It's soft skin. It is not horny. It is not made of keratin. It is just skin. If you touch it, it feels like leather, not like a duckbill. Its tail is not particularly beaver-like. It's not actually particularly flattened. It's flattened compared to most mammals, but not that much like a beaver. And also the underlying skeletal anatomy is different, as well as the skeletal anatomy for the beak being different, or the bill. A bill is actually just mostly a premaxilla and the dentary that's been covered in keratin, whereas the bill of a platypus involves both the dentary, the maxilla, the premaxilla split in 2, and then also like wrapped around in like a weird U shape. And also the nasal bone gets involved there too. So structurally, it's not the same tissue. It's skeletally almost completely different. In fact, actually, platypus skulls kind of look like horror movie monsters. They're ridiculous. So no to either of these. So let's see what his next one is.
He has
What the heck? Why are
Whoa.
you? I don't have this.
He's just going to go through all of them really fast, and none of them matter because they're all wrong.
venom out of his hind legs.
What is happening right now?
He has mink fur. He has palm feet.
You're playing it really super fast.
Well, how did I do that?
You're
you
happy.
right-click somewhere?
What is
Did
help? That was the wrong thing to do.
Drink for Dapper's a professional.
I don't know how to. I don't know how that happened. Now it's gigantic. How do I make it stop doing this? Video effects, audio synchronization. What the heck is going on?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, if we were to take what he's saying as true, then we have to ask the question, why? Why? Why would we do this? Like, why would God just take a bunch of random leftover bits of other animals and slap them together with paper mache? Like, what's the point? I don't get it.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it either. I do not know how to change the speed here. I'm gonna have to look it up as we're streaming.
Is there a right-click option that's like, if you just right-click them somewhere on the screen itself?
I was looking
For playback speed?
and I'm not
No.
seeing. Maybe in a playback menu. Where's a playback menu? Playback
Playback is the top. Yeah.
speed, normal speed.
There you go.
Having been designed for a
Hey,
purpose.
There it is.
I'm a helper.
I have no idea why that happened, but I'll take
Yes.
a drink for it. I don't care.
I sort of agree with them.
As Lieutenant Math Navigator says, he caught the auctioneer virus for $2.
All right. Who knows what this is? A platypus.
It's a platypus.
I probably
Yay.
mispronounce everything for you.
Sorry,
You
the
probably say
platypus.
evolution, which I love because it sounds like evolution. But I'll say evolution because it's the way we pronounce it.
That joke didn't land.
This is a
No.
platypus. Now, I love starting
We'll take a drink for it.
debate
Why not?
questions. You see, platypus is a very interesting creature. He has the beak of a duck, the tail of
Wrong.
a beaver. He has
Wrong.
Yeah, mostly wrong.
mink fur.
That's just dense fur. That's it. That's just dense fur. Many animals have dense fur, my man. What are you talking about? It's also not much like a mink, because you know what platypus fur does that mink fur doesn't? It phosphoresces under UV light.
Ooh.
Mink fur doesn't do that. Also,
So wrong.
yeah, so wrong there, but also like mammal fur is very similar to other mammal fur. There's not that much difference between mammal fur, but weirdly enough, the platypus has some of the most weird fur in the entire animal king, or well, mammals, because real fur isn't in other.
Unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
very,
like, even if
they're
he's
not gonna let the platypus have anything that belongs to itself.
Like, of all the things that you could say, well, these
Of
are
all like the most unique animals that has like this unique combination of different things, it somehow gets treated as if it is the least unique.
it's like of all the things you could call chimerical, the fur is the least like any other animal. Like, come on, man.
I feel does it feel like I'm talking about the difference between a griffin and a hippogriff? Like, what are we doing?
Which is also weird because griffins, their favorite food is horses. So how do you get hippogriffs? Is it because they were playing with their food?
No, it's because they're different species.
Okay, fine, ruin the joke.
Like a mink. He has palm feet.
There are different types of
Venom.
griffins too.
Wait, he has
They don't all have to be eagles and stuff.
He has palm feet? What does that mean?
He has
I
mink
don't know.
fur like a mink. He has palm feet.
What? Palm feet. What does that mean?
Maybe he means that they're like hands, like a raccoon.
But they're not. Maybe
Yeah, but none of this stuff is right.
Wait, maybe he means they're like apples, like pomme.
Oh.
Yeah, because he's French.
Yeah, apple feet.
Yeah, apple feet. Which they also don't have feet that are particularly like apples either. I have no idea what he's trying to get at with that one. Palm feet.
Maybe it means that do they have pads? Do they have like little cat pad hands?
Not really. I mean, they just have like a lot of extra skin that grows underneath the fingers and then like pops up past the claws.
Are they webbed?
Yeah, but not in the way that most animals that have webbed feet, because the skin isn't between the digits primarily. It's actually under the digits.
We are never gonna be able to figure out what he's trying to say. Hey, Lawrence, if you're watching this, what?
What is a palm foot? Is it an apple foot?
Comment in the description. Leave a comment in the description.
Maybe it's a potato.
Leave a comment down below.
Because in French, potatoes, pomme de terre. Dirt apples.
Maybe. Dirt apples.
I know it's more literally apples of the earth, but I just like to say dirt apples because it's more fun that way.
Dirt apples better.
Yeah.
Venom comes out of his hind legs.
Well, only the males, but also, yeah. And, like, what is... Oh?
He lays eggs, or she lays eggs.
Oh, there you go, he got there.
Milks their young.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's English as a second language problem, because platypus do not milk their young. They feed them milk from their own bodies. They don't sit there and try to milk their young, which would be really weird. It looks like you're trying to talk, but nothing's coming through.
Unplugged it and plugged it back in.
Oh. Chesh's avatar is having some kind of strange seizure.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right. Yeah, I didn't. My mute button got stuck. Humans have eggs, dude.
True. Although when he says they lay eggs, he actually does mean that they lay eggs with a shell that then hatch.
I lay at least one egg once a month.
But does it have a shell?
Seems like it to me.
Uterine lining isn't a shell, Chesh.
It is if the egg is wrapped in it.
It's not, though.
It is, though.
No, it's not. That's not how it works.
Uh,
Olivia Williams for 279 V-Robux says, we also use patat in French for potatoes. Yeah, but that doesn't let me connect his palm feet to potatoes. So, and yeah, I do know that patat is also.
Potat. Potate.
But
You say potato, and I say potato. You say tomato, and I say tomato. No, it's supposed to be potato, potato. But the cards, Jimmy, the cards all say the same thing.
I also, I just like dirt apple. It's more fun for me than patat.
Dirt apple's good.
Yeah.
I like dirt apple. I'm a fan.
What? God, sound guy. How did you configure your sound system to be louder when there's just room tone? How is that even possible? I'm just taking a drink for whoever that guy is as a professional, because I don't understand how you do that. It is incomprehensible to me. Wow.
To be honest, I'm really tired of my monthly unfertilized egg laying. Yo, same.
Hey, there are certain kinds of pills that will reduce the frequency thereof.
Mm.
So you could try for one of those. Osiris Phantom AIG for 200 Argentinian pesos says, I don't know why he's struggling so much with this. Platypi are just semi-aquatic egg-laying mammals of action and never flinch from the fray. Oh, I didn't know where that was going. Thank you very much. All right, let's update. We're going to check back in with the fundraiser just in case. Remember, the fundraiser also counts for things like Fancy Avatar or Dapper gets or wears a tutu or Bent gets free pizza. But it's still staying where it was, so yeah. Also, I do want to say that I did check in with Vishanti earlier, and she is very, very grateful for all of the support that she has already received. So
It's sort of like the creator took everything that was left over on the shelves on day 6 and said, "Oh, here's a bit, here's a bit, here's a."
Do I get a
whoa,
point for
Platypus."
predicting that?
yes, we get a drink for that. That was the prediction.
That's super dumb. Stop saying that.
Yeah,
It's a dumb thing to say.
It's just not true. Nothing about the platypus is actually a structure from another organism that's been shoved into a chimerical animal. It doesn't actually have mink fur. It doesn't actually have a duckbill. It's none of these things are true. I mean, I guess he just said it has.
The
venom.
platypus
That's
is
true.
simply getting slandered based on vibes alone.
Yeah, basically. Look, what the platypus
This is cancel culture.
So monotremes are basically just a different branch of mammals that's separated off from what would later become both marsupials and placentals very early on. And as a result, they retain many more basal traits, like they lack distinct mammary glands, instead having them just distributed across their milk glands as glands on the skin, instead of concentrated into, like, teats. And so teats didn't evolve until therians, the marsupials and the placental animals. They're the mammals that have teats. The only reason we think of teats as being a default for mammals, well, is because the other groups of mammals that didn't have them mostly died out and only survive in certain areas like parts of Australia. The egg laying, that was the default for all mammals and for all mammaliformes for almost all of the time that anything like a mammaliform existed. It's just that therians dominated, and so now all the egg-laying mammals, which used to, again, be the default for mammals, there aren't very many of them around anymore. Everything that's weird about the platypus is either a unique adaptation of its lineage, like its bill, or lack of teeth, or its venom, or it's just actually the default amniote condition, or it's just kind of the default mammal condition, but we kind of forgot that that's the default mammal condition because the only mammals around now have different conditions.
Maybe these young Earth creationists should stop judging a book by its cover and actually learning about it before they start judging things based on their vibe.
Well, then how could they do the cognitum? Like, creationism biology is just vibe checks biology.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lieutenant Math Navigator for $2 says, or anti-baby pillin in Germany. Anti-baby pillin. Jeez. I don't speak German, but I'm pretty sure that is not what hormonal birth control is called.
I would
in
believe
Germany.
that that's exactly what it was called.
You know what? Maybe it is, and I just don't know. I guess that's possible.
They're not very big. Well, actually, they found one that was a meter just a few months ago, and it's fossilized. So
they are big sometimes. I don't care. I just don't care how big platypus are. It doesn't matter.
I like to ask my evolutionary colleagues, please explain.
And do you ever listen to the fucking answer?
It wasn't me!
Oh, I know. I recognize that we're about 3/4 of the way through this. It was time.
Yeah, let's go.
Wait, Icarus says it's actually called that? Oh, geez.
I told you.
Are you dancing?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you
All right.
dropped the F-bomb. I danced for it.
Nice. But, like, seriously, Lawrence, have you ever listened? Because the platypus is far from a mystery. We know how it evolved. We know what it evolved from. We know why it has the seemingly unusual features that it has. Have you ever listened to the explanation? Because I don't think you have. Now, you might have heard the explanation, but did you take it on board? Did you listen? Did you realize that maybe this is a dumb thing to argue? No.
Gestures vaguely at picture taken of platypus.
Right?
What the?
have a problem. I'm a creationist. You explain that.
I just
You
did.
do have a problem.
Yeah, you do have a problem because you don't actually have any explanation. Just saying, well, God made it one day isn't actually an explanation.
If the explanation is, well, God made it one day, why are you making an hour-long segment of trying to explain it?
Also, here's one thing, right? In science,
Why are you selling books about this?
in science, an explanation comes in the form of a testable hypothesis, which you then fail to falsify repeatedly, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So what's the hypothesis that we can test on the basis of God did it that way? How do we test that hypothesis? Importantly, how do we falsify the hypothesis?
Yeah.
I don't have a great way to do that. Second, another way to tell whether or not something is useful in science is whether or not it suggests future hypotheses to test. How do we, what future hypotheses can we test on the basis of God made the platypus as a weird chimera? What new areas of research should we look into on the basis of that? Seems like it's none.
I have another, like, it's just so absurd because it just turns into, like, okay, well, why did God stop making new stuff?
Oh, they have reasons for that, none of which, of course, are testable. But hey, we did just get an additional $20 sent over to the GoFundMe, so thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated, and that counts as $24 for purposes of Ben Gets Free Pizza. Because remember, the only times he eats are when people send him things from his wish list, or he gets the free pizza from the various live chats. That's the only way. Other than that, he just starves. He doesn't go to the grocery store. He can't. I don't let him.
And they finally came up with an idea on my 15th debate or something. They came up and said, oh, this is a transition. I said, okay, from what?
15th debate?
I don't believe you, Lawrence.
Were you just talking to your colleagues or were you debating? Those are different things.
Well, first, I've never seen a debate with him, which makes me think that these quote-unquote debates were probably just like with like some
conversations in the
kids.
cafeteria where he walked in the room and everybody who was a geneticist and studied biology groaned.
I don't even think he was talking to other geneticists. I think he was just talking to like college kids.
Yeah.
Fucking. Oh.
And they all still thought he was equally as annoying.
I already used the free one, Chesh. What are you doing? That's a second one. We don't have a second one. Chesh, now you owe me a $10 super chat. Maybe someone will be generous and give it to me for you. Yeah.
What to what? Choice is unlimited here. And the fossils show up in the wrong time because platypus fossils show up 35 million years ago.
What makes that the wrong time? What's the right time for platypus fossils? Also, that's not when monotreme fossils show up. Monotreme fossils go back all the way into the Cretaceous. So, like, I'm just taking a drink because I don't even know what that means. The fossils show up at the wrong time.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Also,
there aren't words for that. What? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will agree that calling it a transitional is kind of silly because it's a currently extant organism. Sure, it's transitional between whatever it is now and whatever it's going to be in the future, if anything. But like, that's not a very useful way to phrase it. John Hopkins for $10 says, "Do we need a swear jar for Chesh too?" Yeah, we actually do.
I'm usually pretty good.
Not today. Not today.
This is better than normal.
That's true. Usually you end up owing me like 5 or 6 super chats. None of which you ever pay up on.
This is true.
Now,
I'm a goblin. What did you expect?
You have a point there. Yeah.
You'll notice as I go through, I'm only going to quote evolutionists.
No one cares about your quotations, dude. First of all, creationists quoting scientists, it's almost a guarantee that you're taking something out of context or just lying, or sometimes, not often, but sometimes, literally just making something up, right? Like, creationist quotes are like reading ChatGPT, but from the 70s.
Right.
Whenever a creationist quotes someone, it is less reliable than when ChatGPT cites a legal case. If you know anything about the history of ChatGPT trying to cite legal cases, you'll have an idea as to how dumb it is to rely on creationist quotes. In fact, more than once, creationist organizations have come together and published books that are just full of misquotations and quote mines of various scientists, so that you don't even have to go look up the fake quote yourself. You can just read it out of an already cherry-picked book of quotes. Which
They'd also like to pick from people who aren't around anymore to correct them.
Oh yeah,
which
that's why
is
Stephen
extra
Jay
disgusting.
Gould, yeah, that's why they drag Stephen Jay Gould's name out of the grave all the time. But like, it is hard to imagine a less ethical thing to do in terms of like academic ethics and standards of behavior than creating a book so that you can have a compilation of quotes that you've mined and cherry picked.
Well, even like outside of academics, even just like being a reasonable and decent human being.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of it. Osiris Phantom
Like-
AI. Oh, sorry.
Like, whatever.
Osiris Phantom AIG for 200 Argentinian pesos says, according to this newspaper, can't find the original source, there was a platypus from Argentina around 70 million years ago. Also, my Creationist University is lending their labs to study a 10,000-year-old ground sloth, and that is so funny. That is weird. I would be suspicious about saying that it's an actual platypus, although there are definitely a lot of South American marsupial fossils, because the marsupial fossil record is centered in... So marsupials largely evolved in the southern hemisphere, right? As part of Gondwana, I can talk. And so their fossil record is primarily found in South America, Antarctica, and Australia. Now, the problem with Antarctica is Antarctica sucks. It's basically like Canada, but for the southern hemisphere. And so no one wants to dig there for the most part. So a lot of the fossil record of marsupial groups is known from... And monotreme groups, because monotremes also evolved in the southern hemisphere, primarily. So a lot of the fossil record for marsupials and monotremes is South America and Australia. So I would actually be very interested to look at that paper, Osiris Phantom AIG. So if you could send that to me, it's definitely possible. It's a platypus, or at least in the platypus lineage. Although, yeah, I would be curious. Sorry, go ahead.
I just have a really big issue with this whole, we're gonna make a book specifically to sell to people to help them lie better to other people.
Yeah.
Like particularly, like, I think that's a problem anyway, but particularly if you're gonna be a creationist or you're gonna be a religious person and you're gonna talk about how lying is a really big deal, or you want to dunk on trans people or whatever because they're living in sin, and meanwhile you have entire corporations basically built on top of lying to otherwise kind people to make them be not kind people. And like, that is it's a pillar of disgusting behavior, and one of the reasons they get away with it is because other nice people who do believe these things don't call them out on it.
Yeah. Also, we just got another $20 on the fundraiser, so thank you very much. I have double checked, and so Vishanti is going to be good, like, well into September. So,
hooray!
Yeah. And we said this when we first did the special for the fundraiser that raised a lot of the money there. Yeah, this was basically like Vishanti could have been on the streets, so we're trying to prevent that. So, you know, because sometimes you fall in hard times and you need help. And I want this to be a place where people can get help sometimes.
Yay!
Why? Because what I want to do is take their logic to its fullest extent.
You haven't even begun to explain the logic of evolution, my guy. So I don't have any faith in your ability to do so.
That's philosophy!
Also true.
When they see that their logic is void of content, then it opens them up to other possibilities.
I cannot imagine a person who would be less effective at getting me to see that the logic of evolution is void, especially given that we're 11 minutes in here and he hasn't actually bothered to describe how evolution is supposed to work in the first place.
If you're going to try to do this, you need to define your terms.
Yep. And you also need to be able to, like, actually present your opponent's position in a way that they would recognize and agree as at least reasonably accurate as to what they are advocating for. If you can't do that, you're not ready to debate a topic, right? Like, you're just not. And that's okay. but what it also means is then don't go debate that thing. So Osiris says I put it in the general channel on Discord. I don't know how to tag you or message you. I mean, like literally right click on my name in the Discord, and there should be a send message option. You just paste it in
And
there.
if you need to tag, you can just hit the @ button and then start typing out his Discord name.
Yep. Discord makes it pretty easy. If you're in the same server as someone, generally you can DM that person.
Yeah.
If I just try to superimpose my belief in creation on top of their belief in evolution, I'm just going to hit a wall.
I don't know what that means, but okay, I don't care. Here's something.
Lots of people who believe in a creation are fine with the science. This is stupid.
Also, I want to point out to creationists, if you feel like there's an incompatibility between your religious beliefs and evolution, that is a you problem.
Mhm.
Other people don't give a damn.
And if there's incompatibility between your religious beliefs and other people's rights to live their lives, that's a you problem.
Yeah. So when scientists go around doing their research, they do not stop to think, well, what would this mean for a theologically conservative evangelical Christian in the Anglosphere? They don't care. They are not out there to get you. Neither are they out there to confirm your religious positions.
In fact, if they were doing that, it would probably be a problem and lead to some pretty bad science that would get caught out pretty quickly.
Yeah. And it's similar to something I said to a friend of mine once, right? Because this friend was struggling with some confidence issues and a little bit of, I don't want to say like paranoia, but just like feeling like people were continually being hostile. And I was like, virtually no one on Earth knows enough about you or cares enough about you to be hostile to you. Like as a long-term thing. Like some people might get annoyed and be slightly hostile to you like on a, hour by hour basis. But basically no one cares enough about you to be out to get you.
There's lots of people who are out to get me, but I make myself a problem.
Yeah, you I'm not going to say you sought out such attention, but you made it easy for a few people.
Well, you know what? They started it.
They did. That's true. But like for most people, that's true for most of the time. Like the vast majority of the human race, one, doesn't know who you are, and two, does not care enough about you to actually make you a part of their like thought process as a normal thing. And that's how it is for evangelical Christians. The vast majority of the world, the vast majority of the Christian world, is an evangelical. Most people on Earth aren't Christians. And of the subsect that are both of those, even some of them don't care about young Earth creationism.
Mm-hmm.
So you are a fringe of a fringe of a fringe if you are a young Earth creationist, and I promise no one's doing research to disprove you because no one cares. That's why
you haven't brought anything to the table to work with in the first place.
Like, creationists sometimes do manage to publish papers in real journals, but it's never anything that's going to actually make any of the changes that they would like to see in science. Like, no one has ever written a paper and then had people go like, oh yeah, well I guess all of biology is wrong. Huh, we should probably toss it out then. Good luck.
The thing is it would be it would be a fun project to be like, all right, let's pretend none of biology currently exists and start from zero. Go.
I mean, it would just end up looking the same as it does now.
It would look exactly the same, and we'd be able to do it a little bit faster because we have computers.
Yeah. There was a creationist who once said, like, I want us to do biology as if Darwin had never existed. And was like, well, congrats, we're already doing that.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Like, people aren't sitting around in biology classes or in biology laboratories, like, poring over Darwin's works.
And nobody's stopping you from going out and observing birds on your own.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I would be much happier if all of the creationists just became birders rather than being...
Yeah, went outside and touched some grass.
Yeah. Yep. Although, we don't have a lot of grass around here, so it's, like, really hard to touch grass out here in, like, summer in Arizona.
Honestly, if there was one thing that I had... If I was to, like... Here's my counterpoint and my counter argument to any young Earth creationist ever. It's gonna be, here's a book on mushrooms.
All right, here we go.
they have to become convinced and understand the weaknesses in their belief system.
Well, it would be great if you pointed any out during this talk. Because just saying things about information without backing it up and then vaguely gesturing at a platypus after lying about it, neither of those are pointing out a weakness in evolutionary biology or anywhere else in science.
Also, show don't tell. You'd be better off actually just doing that thing than saying that you're and then doing a presentation claiming that you're definitely going to do that thing.
Give some conference talks, right? That's easier to do than getting a paper published.
Yeah.
In fact, Sal managed to do a conference talk in which he didn't actually talk about any science at all. Instead, he just quoted a few people, and it was really weird and bizarre. And for some reason, he just kept slobbering all over John Sanford for like the first part of his very short talk time, which was weird. But hey, at least he did it.
Yeah.
I was going to say he got up off his ass, but that's not true. He actually came in via like Zoom, so like he stayed on his ass, but at least he did it. He metaphorically got off of his metaphorical ass. There you go. Look, I'm sitting here. I'm not going to pretend that it's like, oh no, people are sitting down and giving conference talk, whatever.
Before they're going to consider another belief system. Okay?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, the fact that you... All right, look.
That's projection. That's projection.
It might be the case that it's easier to get people to change their mind if you show them flaws in their own belief system. But also,
sure,
I happen to know from actual psychological research that actually tends to convince people that they were right the whole time anyway, because they will come up with new excuses. And that's one of the problems.
If you want to... There are two ways if you really want to get... I'll call it three. There are three ways if you really want to get people to change their minds. One of them is to make them curious. Make them interested in whatever it is you're talking about. Make whatever you're talking about sound interesting. Starting off by going with attacking their points of view on things is not usually the easiest way to actually convince somebody of something. It might convince people viewing it later if you're doing views or if you're doing videos or if you're doing like debates or something like that, sure. But if you want to actually change somebody's mind in your real life, debating and yelling at them about logic isn't really going to do that. You have to get them to engage from their point of view.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes just living your life is a way to make people curious about whatever's going on with your life, rather than preaching, for example.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is, I know a number of people who have done things like switch their religious affiliation. And almost never was it all like, well, you know, I heard this really great syllogism from an apologist or a counter-apologist or something, and I realized, what I previously believed was that didn't make sense, and I believe this guy now.
Yeah. The other one is providing some kind of experience, right?
Yeah. But Joshua Geese just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships.
Yeah.
So let's take 5 drinks. Here we go. 1.
And the last one is habits. Is if you want somebody to break a habit and like the way they think or something like that, then the way you get them to do that is, one, they have to want to do it, but the making the habit more painful or more inconvenient than changing is.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. Also, by the way, that whole thing is why, like, if you're a Christian out here, you're watching, that's why you get so few people when you go out and, like, quote unquote, like, share your faith. Like, when you just go approach strangers and you're like, have you heard about Jesus? There's a reason why that doesn't generally work. If you want people to join your faith community, you actually need to do things like provide them with things that they need. Provide them a good example. Show them that if they visit, there is a sense of community there, that there is people helping each other, that there is a support network there.
Yeah.
That is how you do things like that. So, yeah, just a pro tip. If you want people in your faith community going around and trying to throw syllogisms at them and argue about the historicity of the resurrection or whatever, probably not going to work.
So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to look quickly at refutability predictions, just really, really quickly.
Wow, I'm actually impressed because creationism has never come off well in that kind of a situation, but he's going to apparently dive right into it.
Let's go.
Well, we're not going to get too far into it ourselves because we are coming up on the time when it's time to wrap things up. But hey, we've almost got through 4 minutes of this. That's pretty good for us.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're zooming. That's basically zooming.
Yeah.
And we went on a whole thing about bees.
Bees are great.
Bees are great.
And then we're going to get into the fun stuff, the scientific arguments that support the creation model.
Oh, good.
Okay? Which we're going to go through: sudden appearance, species stability, life, and irreducible complexity.
Can we get the camera guy to actually put the camera on the screen, though? Is that a possibility?
Apparently not.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Their camera
what's
guy's
a
about as good as their sound guy is.
Jeez.
Hypothesis. You're all doing hypothesis with my little... Are those little black spheres around here somewhere? Where'd they...
Oh, yeah,
He's
I
back to
forgot.
his
The
balls!
balls! Oh, I forgot about
This
the balls.
is the best time to cut it. Dabber, we have to end the stream now. The
Yeah.
balls are back.
The balls are back, everybody. Once again, we're circled back around for like the third or fourth time. The balls.
It all comes back to balls.
Mm-hmm. As does everything, really, if you think about it. Oh, jeez. All right, well. Chetch,
It's perfect.
what do you got coming up?
I don't know. I'm exhausted. I will see.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I was kind of expecting that would be what was coming up for you. Let's take a look at what's coming up for me, either here or on the other channel. So, let's see. I am well into editing another video, but the animation isn't fully rendered. I'm just animating with a dummy video. Basically, what I do is it's going to take a while for an animation to finish rendering. I will render out a video file that has the audio that I'm using for the animation, but doesn't have any of the actual animation in it. And then I edit that in, and then when I get the animation back, all rendered and such, I render it into a new file, but I overwrite the old file so that my editing software will just pull up the new file because the file reference path is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so I'm currently at the point where I am working on the edit. I don't have the final animation, though. So if you were inclined to help me render on Sheepit, there are directions in the description, and that could help, because that would be probably, as long as your computer can handle my frames, it would be you directly rendering my frames to make that process go faster. And even if you can't handle those frames, you would at least be helping me with keeping my point total up, which is how my frames get allocated and prioritized on my Sheepit farm, which is Sheepit. So that's hopefully
I need like 10 subscribers
to do what?
to get 4K.
Go subscribe to Chesh.
Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. May
Well,
as
do it.
well go eat worms.
I mean, as a dinosaur, there are many dinosaurs that eat worms, and that is an okay thing to do.
I've eaten worms before. They're not bad.
There you go. All right. So then on Tuesday we've got the next Kent with Bent, and I will be wearing a tutu in my human suit because the tutu doesn't fit around my actual body. And that will be Dumb the Dark Ages, Kent with Bent number 169. Nice. So that'll be Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I have a premiere. That is going to be, let's see, Mountain Lobsters and Ape Men, ICR Science on Fossils, the movie. So it's going to be a supercut. I think it's about 4-ish hours long. It might be like 3.5 or something.
Oh my god.
And it is going to be, it's a supercut of 4 videos that I did, all doing various ICR presentations about the fossil record. That is the unifying thing.
I just realized something.
Yes.
So you didn't know who Doofenshmirtz was,
Correct.
right? For the Perry the Platypus super chat. It means that you don't know Doofenshmirtz is the guy who's like, man, if that happened, I can't believe it happened. If I had a nickel every time, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't very much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Okay, yeah, then I do know who that is. I just don't recognize the name.
That's Doofenshmirtz, yeah.
All right. I do know some of the memes.
The memes.
So then that's Thursday, but then later on at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, over on Jackson Wheat's channel, Jackson Wheat and I are going to be talking with Mike Jones from Inspiring Philosophy about young Earth creationism. And I have absolutely no idea how that's going to go, because all three of us are on mostly the same page about young Earth creationism, but we're on very different pages about virtually everything else in the entire world. So, like,
really?
yeah,
Interesting.
it's
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have.
Are you not looking forward to? Are you worried?
I
Tentative?
have no idea. I just have no idea. I don't know how that's gonna go. It could be a horrible dumpster fire. It could be lovely. I have no idea, and I don't know how.
It's a coin toss.
Exactly. So yeah, go check that out over on Jackson's channel. Then on Friday, over on Top Hats Off, I'm probably going to be doing my own art stream since we're not having a game. And so I don't know for certain what it is I'm going to art, but I'm going to try to art something. It might be for the game. It might be for like asset creation, because I'm already planning the next campaign, by the way, in case you're wondering. Because of course I am. Look, the farther in advance I start planning and creating assets for the next campaign, the higher quality the next campaign's assets will be.
It's true, because he'll just keep working on them.
Right. Like, the Star Trek stuff, I started working on this like a year before we launched the Lexington campaign. So, like, I'm doing prep work now for a campaign that might happen in a year or two. Hey, yeah. So that's Friday, and then Saturday, the plan is to be back for more Billy Carson with Kip and Vishanti. So if you're enjoying our discussion about Billy Carson's weird takes on the Epic of Atrahasis and evolution, and also thinking that down is south because Billy's apparently a flat earther, near as I can tell. Because, yeah, otherwise, why would he think that down is literally south? I don't know. Yeah, he talks about, like, he's talking about a god of this, like, the Sumerian underworld, and he's like, see, he went down. What that means is South Africa. Like, no, Billy. No, Billy. It's the underworld. Yeah. It's like that guy who the text clearly basically just says went to rule the underworld. He actually went to run a cloning facility in South Africa because he's really a space alien, and down means south because he's a flat earther. Yeah. That's exactly my reaction, Shesh. Anyway, so then next Tuesday, or sorry, no, that's as far as we're going to go. That's a whole week.
I'm too tired. I can't.
I know. But hey, if you are interested, over on the Discord, we are going to be doing the final 4 episodes of Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2. And we are actually getting pretty close. The expectation is that we will finish Power Rangers in September and move on to Godzilla.
I like that my avatar freezes up at around the same time my brain does, and just is just like.
All right. So with that, we are going to get out of here. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope to see all of you on. That's way too close. That's scary. I hope to see everyone on Tuesday. And remember, if you are interested, head over to the server for some more Power Rangers. Bye, everybody. Hey, before you leave, I just want to take a second to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Ben Tovand, Tapioca Weasel, Arrow Dodger, Dan Cheedy, Elleron Teller, Phil Cavara, Ian Chen, Kelvin Brostock Van Manen, Landon Knoll, Mabity Babity, Sphincter of Doom, Volis, Max Cherry, North Texas Fossils, and John Ackerman. It's because of my channel members and patrons whom you're seeing on screen that this channel can stay afloat. Without you, it would all shut down. If you want to join the team, there's a link to join the channel below this video, and there's a link to join the Patreon in the description. On the Patreon, you can get a 10% discount for pledging annually, and either way, you get early access to virtually all of my scripted videos, often 3 to 5 months before they come out for the general public. Thanks for watching.